Hello, everyone. I all hope you had a very wonderful, blessed evening and a very much of a great day indeed. As you can see, guys, the weather is a bit more cloudy than it is exactly, and it's also a bit more colder than it is as well. But despite that, guys, I all hope you're enjoying your day and your wonderful day indeed. Despite that, guys, I'm very grateful for your support in watching and in viewing my episodes. It gratefully means completely a lot to me. So God bless you all completely. Literally, God bless you all. I literally appreciate it and I love you guys so much. So God bless you all. On today's episode, we're here to speak about Warlord Dog Wright, who's a high-ranking official in Lord Shadowjack's empire, who is helping Lord Shadowjack's empire in conquering many known worlds and planets and crystal planets and worlds in the process, so that Lord Shadowjack can become the sole ruler and leader and become the sole ruler of the cosmos and of the rest of sacred existence in the process. Let's begin exactly. In Warlord Dog Wright's early life, he's exactly lived on a Viking planet where there were many other conquerors and lost alien conquerors and warlords and evil Shadow Empire warlords all exactly fighting for control of other villages and clans and tribes. Despite that, exactly, Warlord Darkrai discovered that his ambition can be far more bigger and more greater. On that point, he fought the other warlords and commanders and he successfully killed them all, as in he murdered them all completely by butchering them and killing them all in the process. By doing so in the process, Warlord Darkrai exactly felt more powerful and he absorbed and took all the fleets of battle cruisers and warships, and also airship fleet and also battleships under his sole control. He began growing his armada and his fleet, and he began his evil sinister conquest of a global conquest to conquering other known worlds and other known planets throughout the rest of the cosmos, which he began starting a war against the four nation hunters. On the 19th century, Warlord Dog Wright exactly invaded other worlds and planets in a process, conquering them all in a process, but he was completely stopped and due to the intervenence of the four nation hunters and of the five nation hunters that were able to cut off his invasion strategy and able to saving many worlds and many planets in a process. But Warlord Dog Wright exactly felt more deadly and more very ambitious with his goal and plans to conquering many worlds and many planets in a civilization. He unleashed his armada and warships against the four nation hunter battle cruisers and warships in a process in order to decimate them and laying waste to the entire to the entire planet and to the rest of the civilization within in order to take out his enemies and his foes in the process at once. But successfully, his plan in order to lay waste to the world and to the entire planet didn't successfully exactly work out or rather pan out the way it was supposed to be due to the four nation hunters interference, due to the four nation hunters interference and interference and also as well as interference and also as well as interference as well, and also due to the intervenes as well as due to the intervenes as well. Despite that, the four nation archers successfully saved the known world and the planet as well in the process from being destroyed and from being conquered by Warlord Dogwright. And Warlord Dogwright decided to disappear with his armadas and fleet, and he took them directly to hyperspace where they were completely able to teleport. Warlord Dog Wright remained in sacred space for so many centuries and for so many years until one of Lord Shadowjack's forces of his high-ranking officials exactly approached him and told him that Lord Shadowjack has a very powerful proposal for him, a very much enlightenment of a proposal that can exactly help him find his purpose and his destiny. And Warlord Dog Wright was very successfully, very quietly pleased with this proposal. He met up with Lord Shadowjack in his home planet known as Planet Power within his throne room, and Lord Shadowjack exactly gave Warlord Dog Wright a powerful purpose and a very much of a powerful goal, telling him that conquering worlds and planets not exactly in his best interest, but it can exactly help him expand his conquest and also in his dominion in controlling these worlds and planets as well in the process, to making sure that Lord Shadowjack's empire remained in control over the rest of the known worlds and over the rest of the civilization. In doing so as well, Lord Shadowjack told to Warlord Dog Wright that he can become his high-ranking official and also his soldier in his empire, in his high-ranking empire's fleet, and also of his generals and warlords and commanders as well, which you can exactly sit at the table right beside him and exactly able to exactly come up with strategic and strategist way in order to conquering worlds and sacred nations and planets and tribes and clans of the sacred world and of the sacred universe as well, and of the known worlds and of the known worlds and planets of the known universe as well in the process, in also to ruling and conquering humanity as well in the process. And Warlord Dog Wright felt enlightened and felt very successfully pleased with that, as in very much enlightened, as in super very much successfully pleased that he has found a lord and a master to serve and giving his full purpose and destiny to Lord Shadowjack as well. He accepted Lord Shadowjack's proposal and he gladly took it with open arms. On the on the 15th of January, Warlord Dog Wright's battleships staged a raid on the crystal planets and the crystal planet tribes and clans, able to exactly extracting and harvesting all the crystals and all the elements and fighting the aliens and fighting the crystal aliens guardians who were exactly protecting it. Warlord Dog Wright was quietly present within the staging raid of the crystal tribe alien clans, and able to exactly extract and harvest all the crystals and all the elements within. And Warlord Dog Wright told the inhabitants that they should exactly show their allegiance to Lord Shadowjack or suffer the consequences. The inhabitants exactly refused, as Warlord Dog Wright demonstrated his power and his ability in order to take them down and forcibly exactly made them to submit. They returned straightly to the command battleship of his headquarters within the sacred ocean of the planet, where Warlord Dog Wright and his forces and his scouts were able to exactly create a holographical map of the entire sacred world's waters and oceans and random islands and island villages and clans. And Warlord Dog Wright realizes that he has a lot more to successfully to gain and also to conquer as well in a process. Despite that, he received word that the Shadow Empire is rising in power and also gladly ascending in power, meaning very, very quickly. And Warlord Dog Wright told his forces that they have to stand down in order to exactly see where would the Shadow Empire successfully ascend to power, or rather unsuccessfully rise into power, quietly, completely on the opposite of the two sides of the war. On the 20th of January, Warlord Dog Wright was completely exactly remained within his battle cruisers, within the battle cruisers of the atmosphere he remained within a seat of the battle cruisers, where he was able to see all the worlds and all the planets as his fleet of warships and battle cruisers and armadas journeyed through sacred space, and was able to see all the worlds and planets. And he told his forces not to attack and not to do anything until the time was quietly, precisely right at the right moment. On the 1st of February, the original death of the original Ruler Magic created a power vacuum within the Shadow Empire itself, forcing the Shadow Empire warlord and commander to secretly forming alliances with ancient groups of supervillains such as the Court of Nature, the Unholy Alliance, the Sacred Circle, the Founders, the Order of the Five, the Order of the Six, the Order of the Seven, and also the Sacred Circle and Sacred Five, and also Sacred Five as well, in order to secretly give them supplying them with destructive Shadow Empire technology. These ancient secret groups will continually secretly supplying them with more worlds and with more planets that are under their control. On the 10th of February, Warlord Dog Wright secretly met up with the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders on a lost, destroyed planet world, where the Shadow Empire warlords commanders exactly told to Warlord Dog Wright that they will secretly supply Lord Shadowjack with more destructive and powerful technology, unlike anything else I've ever seen before. They also told Warlord Dog Wright that the Shadow Empire is under the current leadership of another supervillain known as Red Bolt, who is the founder and leader of the Dark Order that wants to manipulate and control wars and also be the sole rulers of the cosmos and of the rest of sacred existence in the process. Despite this, Warlord Dog Wright wasn't successfully unhappy or anything else. In a matter of fact, he was successfully relieved and very quietly happy that the Shadow Empire is under the sole control of another ancient and powerful secret society of supervillains known as the Dark Order, and under the sole control of Red Bolt. And also the Shadow Empire Warlord exactly told Warlord Darkrai that the new Lord of Magic is secretly forming. He's secretly forming his new Shadow Empire, reassembling his new Shadow Empire, reassembling his group. He is reassembling a group of peace that existed for many centuries, known as the Order of Power, that existed for many years, that is willing to continue the work and legacy of the original Lord of Magic, to exterminate and wipe out the supernaturals and the aliens and the aliens and the superhumans and the universal heroes and the Four Nation Hunters and the Intergalactic Coalition and the sacred heroes of the sacred world and the rest of the known heroes of humanity in the process, so that they can become the sole ruler by cleansing and purifying the rest of existence, by purifying the rest of sacred existence in the process. Despite this, Warlord Darkrai was very quietly pleased and very quietly successfully happy that everything else is going according to schedule, the way it's meant to be. On the 15th of February, Warlord Darkrai exactly returned to the other conquered worlds and civilization to see everything else being the way, and he saw the great cities, he saw the great Shadow Empire cities that have exactly fallen in place under the sole control of Lord Shadowjack's empire and his forces as well. And he saw a giant statue of Lord Shadowjack and also of his high-ranking officials, meaning the inhabitants officially have accepted that they've been conquered and have been ruled under Lord Shadowjack's control and also his rule as well. And Warlord Darkrai was successfully pleased and very happy. On the 16th of February, Warlord Darkrai sat at the throne room of the conquered cities and worlds, where one of the engineers and the machinists exactly told Warlord Darkrai that can exactly engineer a powerful battleship and highly advanced and highly upgraded battleship, and also more highly advanced battleships for Lord Shadowjack's empire and forces to conquer more worlds and more planets that will systematically put an end to the Shadow Empire's reign and control over the other worlds and other civilization. Warlord Darkrai completely accepted the proposal, and he told the engineers and the machinists to begin creating powerful, highly advanced airships and battle cruisers and battleships that are 100 times more stronger and more highly invincible as well. And they happily shook hands with Warlord Darkrai, stated to him that that is exactly what they're willing to do as well. On the 20th of February, Warlord Darkrai exactly returned to the central headquarters of Lord Shadowjack's empire, known in his known planet known as Planet Power, which is the central headquarters of his throne room. And Warlord Darkrai exactly told Lord Shadowjack that everything else has been exactly arranged the way it's supposed to be, that all the conquered cities and worlds that have been placed under the sole control have exactly managed to exactly create giant statues and monuments of your reign, and also the reign of your followers and the reign of your leadership as well. And Lord Shadowjack was very completely happy and very completely enlightened with that everything else is going according to plan, the way it's supposed to be. He told Warlord Darkrai to conquer the crystal worlds and the crystal planets once and for all, now that the Shadow Empire is facing its downfall and also its demise as well. That to conquer those worlds and those civilizations, and with the Intergalactic Coalition fighting up against the Shadow Empire, that will be the perfect time and also the right time to attack and invade those worlds. And Warlord Darkrai completely agreed with his master and lord, and that he will successfully proceed with the plan accordingly. On the 10th of March, Warlord Darkrai and the fleet of warships and battle cruisers and airship fleet invaded the crystal worlds and planets and completely overrun the rest of the civilization, attacking and fully attacking the rest of the civilization and destroying it. In a process, the inhabitants were forced to fight back using their crystal magic and abilities and all of that to fight back against the invaders, until the battleships arrived on the shore of the oceans, when the rest of the battle cruisers consistently exactly open up a portal within the oceans of the planets, and everything else in the battleships completely arrived, and Warlord Darkrai completely exactly landed on the planet's surface and exactly using his sword to decimate the rest of the inhabitants completely, and exactly telling the inhabitants that these worlds and planets are under the sole control of Lord Shadowjack and that they remain under his sole control. Bow or exactly submit or rather die. The inhabitants exactly chose to fight back, and Warlord Darkrai completely decimated them and completely heavily decimated them, leaving some of them to be alive. The rest of the inhabitants exactly chose in order to exactly to submit chose to exactly to submit to Warlord Darkrai and also to Lord Shadowjack's will, saying that they will exactly supply them with more powerful crystals and more destructive cybernetics and prosthetics technology that are highly adaptable. Warlord Darkrai exactly told the inhabitants that they want the resources and also at the source of the crystal power, and the inhabitants have successfully agreed that that is exactly what they're willing to do as well. On the on the 11th of March, Warlord Darkrai remained at the throne room of the Crystal Planet, where he watched a giant statue of Lord Shadowjack being built and being created, knowing that the inhabitants have successfully accepted Lord Shadowjack as the new sole ruler of the Crystal Worlds and of the Crystal Planets. The rest of his battleships exactly created a territory, an entire fortress of Lord Shadowjack's forces, of his commanders and generals and warlords, where they'll be able to meet and discuss their plans of operation as well. On the 15th of March, Warlord Darkrai met up with the other warlords and commanders and leaders and generals of Lord Shadowjack's empire, where they drew a map, where they exactly had a map, a holographic map of the sacred worlds and planets and sacred nations and unknown worlds and civilization in the process. The other warlords exactly suggested that Warlord Darkrai should conquer all those worlds and lay waste to them and destroy them completely, rendering the universal magic heroes or the universal monsters any chance to saving them or rather destroying them. Warlord Darkrai exactly told the other warlords that destroying those worlds will not exactly help any other point, because the sacred circle literally controls those worlds, and those worlds, some of them are completely under the sole control over the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders. That the perfect way was not to exactly attack them, or to rather conquer them, or to rather destroy them all their ways. The perfect then was for them to conquer them and place them under their sole control, which is exactly what is willing to exactly happen as well. On the 10th of April, Warlord Darkrai exactly spoke to Lord Shadowjack in a hologram, telling him the secrets of power and everything else. And the Dark Druids and the Dark Faithful exactly listened on the conversation as they exactly advised Lord Shadowjack that the power source of power is quietly still highly active, and that everything else will exactly be brought the way it's meant to be, under its sole dominion and under its sole control. Lord Shadowjack exactly told Warlord Darkrai to find his new proteges, to recruit new 3 or 4 proteges that will exactly work beside him, that will exactly be able to take out, that will exactly able to take after him, and also follow his instructions to the letter, to making sure that they're heavily skilled in hand-to-hand combat, swordsmanship, training, shurikens, blades, and daggers, and all of that. That they need to be proper assassins and mercenaries or highly skilled hunters. Either way, he needs 4 or 3 proteges, or rather powerful proteges, that will exactly help Warlord Darkrai with his mission. And Warlord Darkrai successfully agreed that would exactly find those proteges, and Warlord Shadowjack exactly told Warlord Darkrai that those proteges will become your protege, as he already has an army of his own proteges already. And Warlord Darkrai was successfully pleased with Lord Shadowjack as he discovered that his master already has an army of proteges and students of offspring who are willing to successfully follow his orders and letters, and willing to successfully follow his orders and letters and everything else down to the letter, and who are willing to take over his legacy when he dies or perishes away completely. And that made Warlord Darkrai successfully pleased and happy that everything else is going according to schedule, the way it's supposed to be. On the 20th, on the 20th of March, Warlord Darkrai completely journeyed into the sacred villages, of the warlocks, witches, and dark druids, and mercenaries and assassins, able to discover which were the project he can successfully fight, until he discovered a 20-year-old girl with the shuriken and a blade, able to fight up against the man, and realizing that girl is exactly the necessary protege he successfully needed. And he recruited up another boy who was 21 years old, and they exactly pronounced their name. They exactly announced themselves as May. The girl was quietly May, and the boy was quietly Johnny, and the other one was quietly, and the other one was quietly, and the other boy was quietly, and the other boy was quietly Brian, and the other one was quietly Chris. Stated to Warlord Darkrai that they're willing to exactly join him to become his proteges and to successfully exactly succeed him, until one powerful dark magic user of a girl known as Linda exactly revealed herself, stating that she's willing to become his apprentice as well. After that, Warlord Darkrai was successfully pleased that he found his proteges and his apprentices, and that he's willing to successfully train them and helping them master their abilities and their powers and their compatible abilities and powers as well, in the process, no matter what. On the first on the 10th of May, Warlord Darkrai completely trained his protégés in hand-to-hand combat to fight amongst each other. When Johnny and May completely fight amongst each other and were completely rising into the occasion, and the other Brian and also was completely rising to the occasion, as was able to defeat the soldiers, and was able to defeat one soldier of Lord Shadowjack's armada, and exactly seeing Linda's progress mastering her dark magic abilities and her power made Warlord Darkrai very successful. These are the dark magic users are training her to use her dark abilities and power in order to controlling her dark magic and also her power. And very successfully, please. He told his protégés that he'll be dispatching them and also sending them on different assignments and also different missions to conquering worlds and sacred nations so that they can prove themselves worthy to their soul master, Lord Shadowjack. And the protégés completely exactly agreed that they'll be able to do that as well. On the on the on the on the on the 9th of June, no, not exactly. On the ninth of May, on the ninth yes, on the ninth of May, Warlord Darkrai was successfully exactly waiting in the throne room to hear the news of his protege's succession, to hear the news of his protege's success in conquering many worlds and many civilizations, until one protege known as Brian successfully returned, told him that he has conquered all the known worlds and all the known civilization, and everything else has been under the sole control of Lord Shadowjack's forces, and everything else has been under the sole control of Lord Shadowjack's forces and the rest of his empire. Until Linda exactly showed up and told him that the dark magic users have created powerful destructive technology and combined it with dark magic and also with great power as well in its process within its proximity, making its power more destructive and more deadly. May exactly revealed herself and told Warlord Darkrai that they've conquered half of the sacred nations, world, and cities and planets, and placed them under the sole control of Lord Shadowjack. And also the last protege exactly revealed himself, known as Johnny, telling Warlord Darkrai that he successfully conquered the magical worlds and civilization and placed them under the sole control of Lord Shadowjack's rule. And he was successfully pleased and very proud of their success, and he just said it's time for them to meet his master and Lord once and for all. On the 19th of May, Warlord Darkrai returned to the central headquarters of Lord Shadowjack's empire of his home planet at the throne room, and where he exactly showed Lord Shadowjack his proteges and his followers, and he exactly told them that his proteges have successfully conquered more worlds and more planets and more sacred nations and everything else under his sole control, and that they're successfully able to do it with one fell swoop, and that they're very eager and very determined to exactly prove themselves worthy. Despite that, Lord Shadowjack was successfully very proud and very pleased of the proteges that Warlord Darkrai successfully exactly has, and he decided it's time for them to become the high-ranking proteges of Warlord Dark's right forces, and also of his fleet, making sure that they exactly becoming the high-ranking lieutenants and everything else, and that they fully take commands of their own faction and of their leadership. That one day they may successfully be needed in order to helping Warlord Darkrai conquer more worlds and more planets and everything else in due time. And the proteges successfully agreed as they bow down to Lord Shadowjack and exactly stated their loyalty successfully to Lord Shadowjack, and they'll do whatever it takes to make sure that his reign remains indestructible and also invincible. And Warlord Darkrai was successfully very pleased and very completely happy with this, as in an extrosity completely happy with this. On the 9th of June, Warlord Darkrai completely exactly looked over the landscape of the mountains and everything else of a known world, of a known planet, which was within a known planet and world, where was able to exactly look back in his past and history and his success, seeing how far he's successfully able to come. Despite that, exactly Johnny exactly appeared from the other side and told Warlord Darkrai he did a very impressive job and a very impressive mission to see how far he successfully come. And despite that, he was successfully happy with his master and leader, that his lord and master successfully exactly recognized Warlord Darkrai's leadership and also current rise to power and ascension. Successfully proud of Warlord Darkrai as well, as they shook hands together and exactly told Johnny that he did the right idea, making him to become his protege at the cost of everything else. On the 19th of June, Warlord Darkrai completely remained at the central headquarters completely remained at the central headquarters of the crystal worlds and planets, where one of the inhabitants told them that the universal magic heroes have quietly appeared in order to save the rest of the inhabitants and the rest of the civilization. Warlord Dograt exactly told these soldiers to completely get to prepare for battle, as they exactly prepared for battle and completely fought up against the universal magic heroes. Warlord Dograt dropped his sword and completely exactly decided to watch the battle from a far distance, as he realized that the universal magic heroes are completely skilled in magic and also in mind magic and also in the abilities of hand-to-hand combat, and he decided in order to successfully exactly retreat and fall back from the attack, as he completely exactly left behind. Before he was exactly about to leave, a hologram of Lord Ra exactly appeared and told Warlord Dogwright that the plan is successfully going the way it's meant to be, and that it's exactly meant to go the way it's needed to be, no matter what. The universal magic heroes walked right straightly into a trap when an ambush of many soldiers from the other side appeared and exactly forcing them to completely stand down. But until Universal Magic Boy exactly until Magic Boy exactly used his newfound magical ability to wipe out the other soldiers, to wipe out the other sacred soldiers of Lord Shadowjack's forces, and completely remove them out of the way. They completely exactly saved the inhabitants and the rest of the known planets and the rest of the crystal world and the crystal kingdom, and exactly realized that the planet has successfully been conquered by Lord Shadowjack's forces, and that it's under the sole control of Lord Shadowjack, and that they arrived way too late. Warlord Dog Right completely teleported himself straightly into his battleship and was able to exactly remain there, seeing that the planet has been overrun by the resistance of the universal magic heroes, and that there's nothing he can successfully do about it at the point. On the 9th of July, Warlord Dog Right completely exactly spoke with the meeting, completely exactly convened with the meeting of his proteges, as his proteges was completely able to tell him that these universal magic heroes and universal earth heroes are becoming a threat, and that the abilities involved in the operation and the successful can never be underestimated in any other cost exactly by any means. And Serlinda exactly suggested by taking them out or fighting them completely won't make any difference, because they're too powerful and too deadly. And underestimating the abilities involved in the operation is a mistake that they cannot be successfully able to make once again. Despite that, Warlord Dogwright completely agreed with these projects and stated that they need to exactly act cautiously and plan cautiously. And exactly before they can exactly do anything else, May suggested a very brilliant and a very smart plan to deal with the universal magic heroes once and for all. On the 19th of July, the Universal Magic Heroes completely exactly arrived on a besieged and destroyed temple within the sacred world's known worlds and planets, unrealizing that that temple base was used as an ambush until May completely revealed herself and told the Universal Magic Heroes that this is exactly the time for them to successfully end, and Warlord Dogwright completely revealed himself, and all the forces and all the soldiers and all the assassins were heavily equipped with destructive and powerful dark technology from Lord Shadowjack's empire, and also from the Shadow Empire's technology, and well, ready to wipe out the Universal Magic Heroes. The Universal Magic Heroes completely marshaled up their troops in order to fight against the enemy, and successfully completely able to do that. May exactly focused her abilities and her power in taking down Magic Boy, and she completely realized that she was completely overmatched by him, and she decided to disappear, and so did Warlord Dogwright. The Universal Magic Heroes completely triumphed and gained their pen and remained victorious, as they stated that they are fighting a new deadly sinister threat, one worse than the others compared to the other threats they were successfully able to defeat. But in other cases, they were quite the victorious, they were able to capture several key enemies and ultimately sending them directly to the Astral Prison to remain in custody for their crimes against the known universe and against the rest of sacred existence and against humanity as well. On the 9th of August, Warlord Dogwright met up with May, telling May that they plan and they tactic was quite their brilliant plan, and that next time they should come up with a very brilliant strategy in order to remove the threat and successfully remove him out of the way. Despite this, May exactly told Warlord Dogwright that she has exactly had much more to learn, but despite that the ambush was successfully quietly appearing, until a supervillain named as Green Man successfully appeared and told Warlord Dogwright that he can exactly help him with these strategic and strategist tactician ways that can exactly able to put down the universal magic heroes once and for all, and completely undermining them under their sole control as well. Despite this, Warlord Dogwright completely met up with the governor of the conquered city that May has successfully able to conquer on the 14th on the 14th of August, stated to him that he'd done a very much quietly or brilliant job conquering the rest of the city and the rest of the sacred world cities and planets and placed them under the sole control of Lord Shadow Jack. Despite that, the governor exactly stated that the partnership is what made it so powerful, and the governor warned Warlord Darkrai never to underestimate the universal hero's abilities in thwarting the operations and everything else, especially abilities. Never to underestimate them, especially in Galactic Coalition, since it's under the influence and control of the new normal magic. Never to undermine him or underestimate the new normal magic and the universal prince as well. They're becoming two powerful threats, and they're rising and ascending to power as much as the founder and as much as the founders and the Dark King. And Warlord Darkrai successfully agreed as well with that. On the 1st of September, Warlord Darkrai completely exactly remained within his central headquarters of the conquered worlds and planets and civilization, seeing and watching the machinists and the engineers design a powerful battleship and battle cruiser until Johnny completely appeared and told Warlord Darkrai that everything else is quietly in place the way it's supposed to be and that the schedule has really been set the way it's needed to be. And Warlord Darkrai was successfully pleased. On the 9th of September, Warlord Darkrai completely met up with Lord Shadowjack within his central headquarters of his empire, known as Planet Power, which is a planet power, which is a dark and red planet where Lord Shadowjack completely rules it with an iron fist, and his planet is quietly in the far fringes of the sacred universe, and that's where his throne room is completely exactly held up. He met up with Lord Shadowjack and told him that wiping out the universal magic heroes and underestimating the abilities and all of that will be a waste of time. Lord Shadowjack exactly relayed and reassured Warlord Darkrai that everything else is in schedule and that his partner will successfully deal with the threat and permanently remove it out of the way. And Warlord Darkrai was successfully pleased and very happy. On the 19th of September, Warlord Darkrai met up with these proteges and convened with them within the dark sacred temple of the conquered city and planet, and told them that everything else is in place, that it's time for them to exactly play their part and fulfill their rightful destiny and remove and wipe out the universal Earth heroes and the universal founders and the universal monster heroes once and for all. And they all successfully agreed that it's time to do that. Despite this, guys, Warlord Darkrai is very ruthless and very powerful and very greedy and very ruthless and very powerful and very deceptive. He loves the thrill of battle. He loves destroying worlds and planets, and he loves conquering worlds and planets and civilizations and crystal worlds and planets and civilizations in the process to making sure that Lord Shadowjack's empire remains the dominant and powerful force throughout the rest of the known universe and throughout the rest of the sacred universe by any and all means necessary. He even successfully exactly recruited four proteges of his own, known as May, known as Linda, known as Johnny, and Brian as well, who are successfully skilled in hand-to-hand combat, master tactician, strategist, swordsmanship. Linda is successfully skilled in dark magic and in dark arts as well, which exactly makes her to rise to the occasion and also successfully ascend to the occasion. Despite this, he completely teaches his proteges in hand-to-hand combat, tactician, manipulation, and also in deception, making no doubt that they can never be underestimated or ever taken lightly. They love the part of killing, and he likes the part of killing, and he loves the thrill of battle. Very skilled in swordsmanship, the ability, super speed, super hearing, and also in hand-to-hand combat, and also in hand-to-hand combat and agility, and also super strength and super speed, and also a master of weapons and swords and guns and blades and weapons. Very skilled in those. He has an army of battleships and warships and battle cruisers at his disposal, ready to staging raids on simultaneous clans and tribes of the supernatural and of the aliens and of the superhumans in the process, in order to extract and harvest the crystals and the elements and the resources of the planets as well, to fueling his ambition and to fulfilling his dark ambition and goal, not rather to successfully lay waste to the planet or to the rest of the inhabitants, but he's willing to make sure that Lord Shadowjack's empire remains the dominant and powerful force against the Shadow Empire. And despite this, he despises the New Lord of Magic and also the Universal Prince and also the Star Prince and also Red Bolt, who are the sole leaders of their own factions, who are the sole leaders of their own empires, and their own factions and their own organization, and is willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that Lord Shadowjack remains in power and in control of the sacred galactic war, and that his empire remains the next dominant, powerful force throughout the known universe and throughout the rest of sacred existence. And he'll do whatever it takes to wipe out the Four Nation Hunters and the Intergalactic Coalition and the United Heroes in the process to furthering his goal and also his mission, no matter what. Despite that, he's true to his mission and he's true to his goal to serving Lord Shadowjack and making sure that many worlds and many known cities and worlds and planets of the sacred world and of the sacred universe fall under the sole control of Lord Shadowjack's empire and under his sole leadership as well. Despite this, they've created giant monuments and statues of Lord Shadowjack's reign and ruling to demonstrate that he's only in control and also in power. Despite that, he maintains his usual basis of operation, and as well, he uses the conquered cities and worlds and planets and civilization as his basis of operation, and as well, he maintains his central headquarters while as a conquered planet and as a civilization as his central headquarters, and he also maintains the central headquarters of Lord Shadowjack's empire of his throne known as Planet Power to make sure that no one knows the location of the planet or where it's completely hidden as well. Despite that, he is a group of 4 proteges, May and Johnny, Brian and Linda, who are successfully skilled in manipulation and also in hand-to-hand combat, swordsmanship, very skilled and very intelligent proteges, skilled assassins and hunter, and also 1 dog witch at his disposal. Very skilled and very ruthless and cruel in nature, and very smart and intelligent, not meant to be underestimated. Despite this, he's very ruthless and very cruel, very skilled. He's immortal, has lived for many centuries and for many years. Very skilled with the sword, with the guns, and also with hand-to-hand combat, and very, 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 very intelligent. Not meant to be underestimated. A high-ranking official in Lord Shadowjack's empire as well. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. I won't be able to exactly upload tomorrow's video. I'll upload it on Monday, which you'll see. For those of you who are watching shorts, you'll receive the shorts of Friday tomorrow as well. Have a blessed day and a blessed evening and an afternoon. I'll exactly see you tomorrow. Take care and God bless you all. Stay safe. Bye. Bye.